Hello and welcome to the Garden of the Black Roses. This is fanfiction. This is the next chapter of Yokai Tamer League. This chapter may trigger scenes of PTSD. It may trigger a lot of things, actually. I don't think there's anything I'll need to skip in this. We'll see. Anyway, Chapter 6. Darius flopped back onto the couch in his room. There was a dull ache now all over his body, which seemingly appeared for no reason. He knew it had something to do with Ember. It wasn't simply her avoiding him now. Something happened to her. What do I do now? Ever since reading the book and talking to Takoyaki and Yuki, he had been trying to communicate with his instincts. Wait, it told him. I can feel her instinct calling to me. It says you need to wait. You're going to receive a way to find her soon. Darius sighed and, about to reply to his contradictory instinct, was interrupted by his phone letting off a series of pings. He scrolled through his phone and came to an unknown number. Ever wonder what would happen if part of your soul was taken away? He read the message confused. Swiping right, he looked at the next message. What would you do if part of your soul was sent to Tamagahara? Would you be able to survive this separation? Darius's confusion grew at the strange messages. Watch the video. See what part of your soul is doing. What we've done to her. Darius sat bolt upright. Her? Swiping right, a video message appeared ready to play. Shaking, he pressed play. He watched as the video started traveling through the illusory ghostum. This is going to be good. He recognized Gabriel's voice. The video came up to his kitsune, who danced in battle with a giant monster. Our plan starts here. Wriggles stepped into frame. He darted forward and attacked Ember. Her shikigami burst forth in response. One after another, Wriggles cut them down. In amongst the battle, the monster was killed and forgotten. Wriggles' sword struck out at her, forcing her to the ground. Normally, in their world, when a kitsune or tengu fell in battle, they were respawned away from the battle. But something was wrong. A hand moved into the frame, glowing slightly, while Wriggles continued to cut into Ember. The camera zoomed in and out on the various cuts into her skin and tears in her clothes until she finally stopped moving in resistance. He crouched down and poked her before picking her up and coming closer to the camera. You can see what I can do. Do what you always do. We'll be waiting. He gently ran a finger over Ember's cheek. Who knows? I might have more fun before you get here. As the video ended, Darius's eyes flashed angrily. So that's why Ember's been missing. He stood up and made his way out of the room and briskly started to walk towards Yuki's room. We need to settle this now. He stalked to Yuki's bedroom, his phone tightly held in his white-knuckled grip. Taking a deep breath, he knocked on the door. It took a few moments before Yuki opened the door. It didn't take much for Yuki to guess something was very wrong. Wordlessly, Darius passed his phone to him and let him watch the video he had just seen. "Oh my," Yuki indicated to Takoyaki to come closer to have a look. "This will be difficult to rescue her." They all jumped when Darius's phone began to ping. He handed the phone back to him. "You better check that." Darius flicked through the new message from the unknown number. "I've had my fun," he read out loud to the two. "Want to see what I've done? I promise it will be worth your while." Darius bit his lip and lowered his phone so they could see the screen before pressing play. The scene looked familiar. It was a guild station deep within the bowels of a guild headquarters. Banners of Rogue were covering the walls and emblazoned on umbrellas and other paraphernalia littered around the room. In the center stood Wriggles and Gabriel, with Ember crumpled before them. "Pathetic," Ember whispered, trying to get up. "If you want to fight with Dari, then why not attack him directly? Why use me?" Everyone looked up in surprise when footsteps started to come closer to them. Darius hit pause before letting out a deep breath. His anger was rising, but he didn't want his guild to be the target of his ire. "Get over here," he said, indicating to Kire and Sigurd. "Better you two know what's going on." Once they were close, the group quickly filled the two in before pressing play on the video again. "You being his beloved spouse makes you the perfect bait." Wriggles crouched down and reached out to her again. Once again, Ember summoned her Shikigami in response to keep him away from her. "Your Shiki are no match for me." She weakly tried to fend him off before he leaned forward and grabbed the front of her dress to pull her close to his face. "Your power is worthless here." Kire and Sigurd both knew what that word would do to Ember. They watched as her mind shut down, escaping from what was happening before her. Wriggles and Gabriel both started laughing at her response. "Little did you know Assassin was working for us." Gabriel leaned forward to poke Ember's cheek to try and elicit some response from her. "He did his job well. You're completely useless now. Perfect bait for your spouse." Wriggles dropped her to the floor before placing a hand on one of her bows and gave it a mock tug. "Since you're not adverse to having tengu in your bed, perhaps a few more will be good for you." The video ended abruptly, causing Darius to let out an enraged sound. Everyone present jumped, not used to Darius expressing so much emotion, let alone anger. "If he so much as touches her," his voice caused chills through everyone present, "there will be nowhere he can hide from me. I will kill him, no matter how long it takes." "What do you propose we do?" Sigurd asked, concerned that Ember was now in a situation with Wriggles doing God knows what to her. "We need a battle plan before we go there." "I'll handle Wriggles," Darius growled softly. "I doubt he will be able to he will be manageable by anyone but perhaps Kire." Yuki nodded. There are more of us than there are of them currently. We can try to 1v2 their members." That brought a round of nods. We need to focus on overpowering them with sheer members. Regals pulled a few non-essential bows on Ember's dress undone and strategically placed some cuts in her thigh-high socks before he stood up. He looked over to Gabriel with a sly smile. "Are you really going to?" Gabriel asked, mildly concerned. He had his own spouse, Jinx, and wouldn't dream of cheating on her. "No," Regals replied, walking away to find a rope. "I'm not that disgusting." He shuddered before returning to tie Ember's wrists together. "But I will make the impression that I did to make them off balance." "Kings were going to join us for this," Gabriel replied with a wry smile. "They're going to be mad we started without them. Leanna and Omegatron in particular were looking forward to it." "Well, they've failed in their task to weaken League," Regals replied, smiling back. He tested the rope on her wrists before attaching it to the rigging. "League will have their work cut out for them if Darius goes berserk." Giving the signal, he guided Ember's body until she was hanging freely, before letting go to be hoisted the rest of the way up. He reached up and waited until her tails no longer touched his hand. "Stop there," he called out. "Perfect. The stage is set." It wasn't long before the guild members of League were gathered outside of Rogue headquarters. "As much as I don't want to say this," Yuki said to Darius and Kirei, "but there will be a number of casualties from this battle. It would be best to focus on rescuing Ember and leaving. Try not to prolong the battle longer than needed." "I agree," Kirei replied with affirming nods from Darius. "Our guild knows the risk, but they want to help get Ember back." "I don't know if I'll be able to remain in control." Darius's voice was strong but strained. "Not after seeing those videos." "Try to keep your head." Kirei rested his hand on his shoulder. "We don't know what we're walking into. Try not to go berserk with what you see." Darius took a deep breath and clenched his fists. With a nod, everyone walked into the building. Unlike the usual hustle and bustle of League, the Rogue headquarters was as silent as a grave. The group walked through and made their way down to the guild station. "Oh my god!" Moon cried out, as soon as she looked into the guild station. Ember swung slightly from the ceiling by her wrists. Trails of blood made red tracks down her body and staining her white tails. Drops occasionally fell to the floor, letting them know something somewhere was still actively bleeding. Darius's eyes narrowed. He could see bows had been undone and tears up and down her legs. "You spotted my fun." Regals walked across the center of the guild station. "You have quite the catch there, and lucky too to have someone as loyal as her." He stopped just to the left of where Ember hung. "Probably the only thing you're lucky at." Gabriel also came out and stopped to the right of Ember. His hands began to glow lightly once again. "Shall we begin?" And that's it. This chapter also, Darius is very much out of character. Darius in-game was very... he was protective, but he was hands-off, if that makes sense. He only became hands-on if he absolutely had to. So this is more my imagination rather than taking hints by what I saw of his personality. Although I can imagine that anyone, if someone had a connection with someone else very close, like say if they're married, which is the stage that is set for this game anyway, that the two characters are married to each other, that if you knew your partner was being harmed in some way, you would want to save them. And you'd be very angry at the people that harmed them. That'd be my guess. Anyway, I will see you in the next one. And as always, let your imagination run wild. Bye for now.